Hello, everybody. This is Victor here from Trend Following Trading for Beginners, and here's my weekly update on my sample trading portfolio coming up next. Welcome, everybody, for another part of my episode for this week. Basically, this whole week, the past 5 days trading has been again to go sideways on Dow Jones. It's quite quiet, down 100 odd points, up 100 odd points, and up and down a bit. So it's more or less sticking around the 30,000 mark on Dow Jones. And that's basically more or less it. And for me anyway, because I'm based in Britain, I'm more interested in about Brexit. Basically, Britain getting itself out of Europe and talk to have some sort of trade deal talks between Europe and UK is diminishing, and the pounds this week basically took a quite a rough, volatile week for that, especially on Friday, just nosedive a bit. And basically I will talk a bit more when I do my sample portfolio update. But yeah, it was hit on Friday. But for me, basically the biggest things this week is the madness for me. Anyway, I personally feel is the IPO of Airbnb. But on the whole, the market's just waiting on somehow it's not making new high in Dow Jones go above the 30,200, 30,300 marks. And I think the other biggest event for the coming week anyway is definitely on Monday, 14th, the Electoral College in US. Basically, a bunch of people go and vote to either select Joe Biden, president-elect, or give Donald Trump the thumbs up for second term. But generally, it's always the popular vote and got the colleges together, and then they just go vote. So if let's say one state is for Joe Biden, those college votes numbers should vote for Joe Biden. In most cases, that's the case. But given that Donald Trump tried all sort of tricks, try to get his way, I still some sort of fireworks coming on Monday. Yeah, so I think everybody's watching. It might not yet be foregone conclusion. It just we see how, in my view, President Donald Trump is sort of like a bad loser. Tried everything, tried to stay on power, and he might yet have able to pull something out of the hat, but we don't know. So far, the law thing, the review and stuff, it didn't work in his favor at all. And it just goes wait and see how things are. I mean, on this front, it just really show. I mean, I say it quite a few times in my podcast, how Donald Trump is basically just as a typical successful businessman who have been around, and he basically never give up, just to try all sort of things. Sometimes you might like his approach or not, but he just, not until the last minute, he will never back down. He's tried all sort of things. Some of it route may be a bit crazy in my view, but that is just how it is. And I've seen a lot of negative report back talking about Donald Trump when Donald Trump was down last time when he has business issue, and went to Hong Kong to ask the property tycoon to help and put some money together, help him get back on his feet, so to speak. And once that I mean, that should be good things, right? And everybody, I mean, friends help each other or something. But unfortunately for Donald Trump is when the tides turn and Donald Trump is in a better position, and there's some disagreement between him and the previous friends in Hong Kong. Basically, they end up in court, suing each other, kind of thing. It's just basically it's just not good. And we basically see how it might show itself again that Donald Trump may basically fight a lot, well, not agree that he have lost, and basically he would just do some funny and odd things, and this really have make the market go jittery at the moment, and we don't quite know exactly what might happen next. So this week I think is also is important on that one. But also I believe this week, I think on the 19th, is also there's some report coming out in US to report back to the Senate or something to say if any external forces was there to try to change the election. Let's say if anybody from, for example, Russia is trying to change the vote or make things different for one candidate or the other, that kind of thing, like what happened in Hillary Clinton and President Donald Trump's last election. That kind of thing. So that may be another little hiccup on the market as well. So this week is a couple more things, and as far as I know, it's going to be middle of the month for this, basically for December. I think it's one of this week or next week is going to do the financial companies market is just going to do their final year calculation. I thought it's end of November, but it looks like this depends really. Some people do early, some company do a bit later. I think most people also start basically doing that already. So you see this is one of the reasons why the Dow Jones is hovering around the 30,000 mark to basically before the year-end book calculation, that kind of thing, and quarter end and so forth, to basically have a good Dow Jones figure, so that this year, however volatile, they still make money, that kind of thing. So it might still be relatively stable for a week or two, and then when everybody go on holiday, it could be quite fluctuating. So I'm not quite sure yet, but as far as I'm concerned, trend following say is still up for Dow Jones anyway, but it from the chart it's just going a bit sideways. So we just have to wait and see. But the main thing I really want to talk about is this Airbnb commanders thing. I mean, personally, I think some of my podcast I also said I don't just trade. I also have a few buy-to-let properties in UK. Basically, I'm buying properties to rent it out to single families as well as to students, and I also try to dabble in Airbnb. I haven't started yet. I was thinking about doing it this year, but unfortunately, the COVID-19 stopped all that. But I have a friend and also a mentor who basically guide me about Airbnb stuff, and he actually got quite a few properties. I'm making quite a bit of money throughout the last 5 years it started, and has been making a lot of money. But unfortunately, the Airbnb basically just killed his business overall, and just because of the pandemic and the lockdown in the UK and people, and also the disruption in traveling. Bath is a tourist town. A lot of people from all around the world this moment is Chinese, but a lot of other European come over here as well. A lot of things just not happening, and also in the middle of the year we have Bath is also had 2 universities. And middle of the year, the university of graduation, so the parents will come out over. It's always a busy time for Airbnb hosts in Bath, but this year basically toppled all of that. And so from that point of view, from what I see with my own eyes, my understanding in the UK anyway, I just do not understand how Airbnb can, I believe on Thursday, basically doubled the initial IPO offering. I think a bit, 110% or something more. So basically double and a bit more of the initial IPO price. So those one who actually got into the Airbnb IPO will double their money, but I don't see how it lasts. Even though I know there's a lot of money flooding the market in around the world, especially in America, but it's no difference here in America with so much. I mean, it's worse in America with the pandemic, not more or less, not really, it's not under control at all. But people still proud into this company. Basically, it really depends on business travels, and tourist travel, those kind of thing. I just don't know how it can survive in this environment. Yes, it raised about, I believe 3.5 billion or something for this IPO. But I'll probably trade it for this year, next year. But what happened after that? Hopefully next year will be a lot better with the recovery going on. But I personally believe it will be a slow, painful climb back out from the hole, so to speak. So it was still a lot of challenges for the Airbnb, but how can it sort of double is beyond me, basically. I just don't see how that works. Maybe just like euphoric, people just not thinking with the brains, just try to make some money for short term. So for me, basically, it feels a bit like lastminute.com, that kind of thing. Back in 2003, the last major internet company got IPO in UK, basically selling airline ticket or hotels or cruise ships tickets or some sort of meterings and then so forth, tickets and things for last minute. And that's why I got lastminute.com. But that sort of marked the start of the beginning of downturn of the internet bubble back in 2003. So it just it might bring back some deja vu. But personally, that's what I'm thinking at the moment. I feel just there is so much hype on this Airbnb. I mean, just look at it this way: international traveling is not there. Even internal traveling is very limited. And we have lockdown here and there in UK anyway, but other parts around the world, some of the obviously in America and Europe. That doesn't help with the pandemic. There is some vaccines running around, but how does that vaccine works is still early days. UK, for example, rush out this Pfizer vaccine, even though all the vaccines so far, as far as I'm concerned, is not tested enough. Even the Chinese or the Russians one, they just need more sample. You're talking about the whole world here, about 7.8 billion people, and you test a few 100,000 in there. It's not going to be enough, is it? And UK already find out, this week they started rolling out the Pfizer's vaccine, and found some people who have a history of allergies. Basically get some rashes really on right away. It's treatable, but it just showed that they didn't know about this could happen before. Fortunately, the people who actually got this bad allergic reaction is doctors and nurses or something, and they got treated very relatively quickly. And that basically just showed that we don't quite know exactly what this vaccine, whichever one it is, from Russia, China, or from America or anywhere in Europe or Canada, whatever, how the people might react to, how people's body might react to it. And then if you, let's say American drugs works for American people, what happens, does it really work for people from Europe and Russia or something, or the Chinese one worked in Europe? And also, which, as I said last podcast, which vaccine will be recognized by another country with all this trade war going on, and then allow people to start traveling, tourism traveling, as well as business traveling, that kind of thing. This was going to need to be sorted out next year, and all of that affect Airbnb. And this is why I just don't see why this IPO can go double like this. So we just have to wait and see. Those people making big money, double the money. I think personally, I would take half the money out and the other just leave it there and just see how the market goes. But I just feel there's some deja vu happening. And secondly, of course, you're in UK now. Similar, I think, again, I talked about it a few podcasts before. It's UK is talking about the UK government. It's talking about delaying eviction for commercial tenants. So basically, people on high streets having problems, couldn't pay their rent because pandemic, lockdown, and so forth. And then, of course, the commercial landlord could go through eviction just like anywhere in the world. The UK government is thinking of delaying that. I think it's trying to put in the parliament something and extend another 3 months or so forth until some part next year. But this is another biggie that I think in general the market either ignores it or just not take that into account. I think it's mostly just ignores it. That, I mean, around the world, the pandemic is affecting everybody, and people start not going to going to the high street as much. Okay, they shop on the internet a lot more. I mean, with the rise of like going to buy food, you have delivery, Amazon, that kind of thing as well. Online delivery, and so the shops, the brick and mortar we call them, on the high streets are suffering. A lot of them have to fold, and of course the pandemic reduces the income of those shops, and then they obviously couldn't pay the commercial landlord. The commercial landlord cannot evict them, just same as residential landlord cannot evict the tenants. So both commercial tenants or normal residential tenants are basically living free with subsidies by the landlord, so to speak, and the government basically stop the government stopped the landlord, both residential as well as commercial, to evict people or reduce the rate or slow everything down. So there's still a lot of pending eviction that's going to happen. I mean, how long can that last? I don't know. Who knows? But it really depends on the government from each country. And we just wait and see. But it's definitely going to be a big thing for next year anyway. For me, as far as I can see, even myself, I got lucky enough. Not much of an issue, but I still got some delay in getting some payment. Some people just some tenants just didn't have the job because a lot of them got fired, so to speak, and I lost the job during the pandemic. And my rate of people not paying me is already very, very, very low. But I'm not quite sure next year how that might turns out, because next year probably a lot of people will either will have most likely lost the job and then try to find a new job with a lot more competition. So the job pay probably much less. And then so probably my the income I can produce from my buy to let properties will probably have to be same as this year, or maybe have to be reduced, because just a lot more people out there suffering the same thing. So it's a flood of rental properties at the moment, and same thing for commercial. Just shops are closing, and they have most likely even anybody that survive can most likely trying to squeeze the commercial landlord and try to reduce the rate. So what happened, all those commercial landlords or those pension funds which bought into real estate or renting out high street shops or big shopping complex, the share prices and the pension funds and the big shareholders of those companies will be affected. But at the moment, none of that seems to be showing up in the stock market for both UK as well as America, as around the world, because all the stock market indexes seems to be all going up. We'll just have to wait and see how that is going to play out. But yeah, that's what my feeling at the moment. So yeah, next week personally, I just got to watch out what happened to America. Hopefully, President-elect Joe Biden will get through, and no more hiccup from President Donald Trump, and I will pray for signs of relief. I think the market probably will, but then we'll next year, looking into next year, will be a lot of when President Joe Biden comes in. He has a lot of work to do, not just in America, but also how President Donald Trump has infuriated both U.S. friends as well as enemies, and how Joe Biden had to go around try to calm the nerves of some of the, let's say, Europe. For example, the pipeline that Germany is building between Germany and Russia. Donald Trump is sanctioned on it. Will Joe Biden able to stop those sanctions and basically smooth things with Germany? It's frustrating. Germany's this pipeline with Russia is 95%, 97% complete, and then Donald Trump just slammed some tariffs on it, and we just have to see with President-elect Joe Biden, we're actually able to calm things, as well as also with his view with China to trade. With China, trade dispute with China, we see how it goes on that one. So next year, a lot of things going to happen, and we just have to wait and see. But so far, the index, I say it again, is just not taking any of the effect of it, not thinking about it. So there's loads of pink elephant and gray rhinos, whatever, running around, and we just have to find out as it comes. So that's the end of this week's market update, and next will be the update of my portfolio coming up. Okay, first of the bat is, as usual, Apple. Is same as last week, buy short term, medium term is neutral, long term is a buy. Amazon, short term is still a sell, medium term is neutral, long term is also neutral. Aussie dollar against US dollar, well, buy across the board, short, medium and long term. The good things on this one is broken finally the 0.73 marks and gone to 0.74, and I think up a bit to 0.75. So it's doing well. But personally, I just feel what does that mean to the Australian dollars? Australia export market with these dollars being so strong in comparison, and its export probably costs a bit more. So we just have to wait and see. Next is Brent crude. Again, it's buy across the board. Short term, medium term, long term is buy. Crude oil as well. So short, medium, long term is also buy. So the Brent crude and WTI crude oil both buy across the board. So basically, yeah, again, the US dollar index is down. So this is one of the things that help the Australian dollars going up. And yep, the Brent crude and crude oil just continue to go up. This is, I think, is probably continue. Like I said before, it's not because there's massive recovery in the world market for oil, for traveling and shipment going around, people start flying around different countries, but basically because the weakness of US dollar. So anything that price in US dollars, it is a bias, underneath bias of getting higher and higher. Simply means US dollars is weakening, and the US dollar index is going around about 91 or something, go back up a little bit, but it's likely to break the 90 mark. You just have to wait and see. So that happens, it'll be a lot more hoo-ha. Next is DAX in Germany. Is buy across the board, short, medium, and long term is all buy. Dow Jones the same, short, medium, and long term is buy. So like I said before, early on, is Dow Jones going sideways. And we just have to wait and see what happened with Dow Jones overall. Next is FTSE, following the American lead, buy across the board. Short, medium, and long term is buy. This is why I'm saying with the indexes, which goes through Asia as well. The main indices around the world, the major one, just basically going up. But the world is facing a pandemic. There is possibility of vaccine, and that's it. Basically, a lot of money flying around. However, like Warren Buffett said, long term the stock market is weighing machine. So when the people start to get a company basically reporting their earnings, we will probably see a lot more, more low figure of profit, and then the stock market participant, the news media would then say, oh, it's in line with expectation, but expectation when compared to 12 months ago is way down, say 20, 30, or even 50% because of the COVID-19 issue. And then the market probably will play a bit about it, but move the share up or market up. But the overall is, at the end of the day, is if the actual company not making money, how can the stock market continue just go up? Because there's no fundamental to cover it. Even though I'm a technical guy, I believe very much like the book, Nicholas Davis. You have a technical edge, but don't forget about fundamentals. When those two merge together, share price go either up or down together. So at the moment, the fundamentals and the euphoria of the stock market technicals is totally out of whack. And at the moment, so far, emotional is winning. The stock market is going up, even though fundamental is deteriorating all the time. We just wait and see what happens. Next is gold. Short term had gone up to buy now. Medium term has then changed to neutral, so it's long term is neutral. So gold has a bit of a reaction on Monday, and this seems to be going back up again. It's trying to break above 1850, but at least we taken the 1800 mark. So 1900 or 2000 is only a couple $100 away. It's not that far, so we'll just wait and see. Next is Hang Seng Index in Hong Kong. Same as Dow Jones, buy across the board, short term, medium term, long term buy, same as last week. Nasdaq, same as last week as well, short, medium, long term buy. Nikkei, same thing as Hong Kong, short, medium, and long term is also a buy, so there's no changes there. Silver next, same as gold, has recovered somewhat, and short term is a buy, medium and long term is neutral. Next is the bit of a foreign currency, like what I said before about Australian dollars. The US dollar's weakness basically causes the Chinese yuan, Chinese dollar to continue to strengthen. So it's sell across the board. So essentially, the Chinese dollar is Chinese yuan is stronger as the US dollar is weakening. So that's why it's sell across the board, short, medium, and long term. And there's also a lot of people talk about China manipulating its currency. In a way, it sort of did, and then just like try to keep around 7 mark or 6.9 mark. But since there's so much trade dispute with America at the moment, well, China basically say, okay, just make my stuff more expensive. Because you got to think about it. If the U.S. dollar index remains strong, or let's say the Chinese dollar is remain weaker compared to U.S. dollar. I mean, even though China doesn't manufacture as much goods as before, it's still quite 20-25% and center around the world, ultimately in dollar terms. And it does make its stuff cheaper. Now with the Chinese dollar strengthening and US dollar weakening, that means only one thing, okay? It causes American more to buy stuff from other countries. So the deficit what US export to other people and what other countries and what other country export into America, the deficits, this discrepancy will be higher. So the deficit of the US um, dollars in America, trade deficit will be even higher. It might shift from China into other parts of the world, but it's still high. And compared to what was before, will be almost a lot more because U.S. dollar is weakening. And then this is more or less what we saw back in 2007, 2008 time. So next year, I think is a year of U.S. dollars weakness, and that causes a lot of inflation around the world. In America, definitely will see a lot more inflation, unfortunately imported inflation, simply because what was buying before, even the Chinese price or from Latin America or from Canada hasn't changed, simply because U.S. dollar is weakening. Compared to those currency, those prices will go up, and either the importer in U.S. have to just basically keep it, reduce the profit, or just pass it on. It's likely to be 50-50, I presume, because they need to keep as much money they can to keep them survive. So American people will probably see a lot higher bills in general. Okay, so watch out, all my American friends. Next is U.S. dollar against Japanese yen. Again, it's sell across the board. Japanese yen is taking a strengthening, so to speak. And after that is British pound against Japanese yen. Sell for short term, and medium term and long term is neutral. And British pound against U.S. dollar, short term is sell, and medium and long term is still buy. So like I said before, the Brexit is near its end. We have 2 more weeks or so, and until end of the year, to 2020 is Boris Johnson, I think, on Friday. Is basically prepared the country to say it's likely there will be no agreement exit for Britain to go away from get out of Europe. So there will be quite a lot of issues about his border control, about fishery, about trade, sending cargo ship between and train and whatever between the two countries. So all the lorries travel between the countries for foods and services going up is going to be quite a bit of chaos, and we just wait and see how things will turn out. But British pound definitely get a hit last week. And next is Bitcoin. It's buy across the board, and Bitcoin has been quite frustrating lately. It's sort of tried and gone up to making new high and then doom coming down almost 1,000 pound or two within a space of a few days or just a week or so, and then go back up again a bit more, but still having problems breaking the 20,000 mark. It could be a psychological big mark, but overall, I just don't see that at the moment that it will break high about 20,000. Just my view, but as far as trend following is concerned, it's buy across the board. One thing though, I think people already spotted that this time the surge is not because of retail investors. Like last time when it got up to 19,000 mark, this time it's institutions. People will bring a lot more money, a lot more control, and tighten control of Bitcoin. And so we just I think it's a different ball game altogether. So the big sharks is out there playing, and the small retail investors might get eaten up. So be careful about that. To always follow your rule. Next is iShares 20 TLT ETF. Short term is a buy now, and medium term is neutral. Long term is a sell. So with the recent side trade, so to speak, a little hiccup in the Dow Jones and American market, the TLT seems to have short term wise increased the price slightly. So we just wait and see. Next is Tesla. SPY across the board, short, medium, and long term. So no big changes here. And last but not least is Australian index. Is basically buy across the board as well. It's just up and up and up. So for short term anyway, it also changed from last week was a little hiccup to a sell and then changed back to buy. So we just have to wait and see how it goes. So overall, the market is similar last couple of weeks already. Most indexes around the world, the exception of Australia, is more or less staying on the up course. Even Australia index that we covered this week, so it's all up again, and everybody and in stock, so to speak, and is just thinking there's a vaccine, and therefore people will start coming out from their homes, from their countries, and start traveling. And I personally don't see the optimism, but this is what we do in trend following. My view is totally useless, and how I think and thought of how the market should work is just anybody else's guess, and it's often wrong. And just stick with your system. The trend following system said for indexes anyway, buy. I mean, Apple and Teslas continue to be buy more or less over there, and just continue that way. Follow your system in this one, but with the fundamentals going the other direction. So when the market will be a shakedown, probably quite violently, do some sort of correction and turn the other way, then be prepared just to get out. Don't marry to your position. Don't fall in a position. Remember why we're in the markets for. Okay, so making money. We're not to be there to be right. Okay, we're there to make money. That's all there is. So remember that. With that, we'll talk to you next week. Bye for now.